we were in a bar in Virginia, and it was, as far as I can remember, Jimmy and Mitch and Noel and Mike Ratledge of Soft Machine, Robert Wyatt, and various other people. And the woman who was serving the drinks told us that Martin Luther King had just been assassinated. And there were these guys at the bar opening bottles of wine and drinking to the health of the assassin. And of course, you immediately find yourself wondering what your role should be. You want to kind of go in there and do something. You're so outraged, you know. And I remember turning and looking at Jimmy, who was just staring away into space as though nothing had happened. And I realized, of course, that these guys were just waiting, probably trying to prompt some reaction from Jimmy and from us, you know, so that they could beat us up. So we left the bar. I was actually terrified, totally terrified. I felt I'd grown 20 years older in 2 minutes, you know. And we went back to New York. And the following night, we were due to play at Newark in New Jersey. And nobody wanted to go. There were riots in the streets in New York, and cars were being overturned. And Jimmy said the last time he'd been in Newark, there were tanks on the street, and the whole city was on fire. And so everyone was pretty scared. At least I suppose they all were. I certainly was. And then the police came on the phone and said that there was a vast crowd gathered at the auditorium, and that if we didn't show up, they thought they'd burn the city down. And so the driver of the main Cadillac took this cheroot out of his mouth, I always remember, and said, Jimmy sits up front with me or I don't go. So Jimmy sat up in front with this guy, the driver, and the rest of us white guys all cowered down in the back of the car, and we drove off through the empty streets of Newark like that. And when we got to the auditorium, there was a really vast crowd. I was doing the projections for Soft Machine out in the actual auditorium, so I knew you couldn't move. All the aisles were packed and so on. And I was thinking, what do I do if someone suddenly stands up and points a gun at Jimmy? Because we all thought that there was some kind of conspiracy going on to eliminate people who were seen as enemies of some kind of dream of America that had never really been. And the killing of Kennedy and the killing of Martin Luther King were actually that. And it seemed to us that Hendrix too might be seen in that light as representing this youth culture and a black culture that they seem to hate so much. But of course I realized that there was nothing I could do if someone did stand up with a gun. And then Soft Machine did a great set, and then Hendrix came out to enormous applause. And then he said, this number is for a friend of mine. And he abandoned completely his normal set, and just the band played an improvisation, which was absolutely hauntingly beautiful. Immediately, everybody knew what this was about. I mean, this was a lament for Martin Luther King. And within minutes, the whole audience was weeping, and the much maligned old redneck stagehands came onto the side of the stage, and they were standing there too with tears running down their face. The music had I describe it as having a kind of appalling beauty. It was harrowing music. And of course, when you try to get a tape of it, for once, nobody was making a pirate recording. There is no record of that thing. And when he came to the end of the music, there was no applause. He just put his guitar around. The whole audience was sobbing. And he just walked quietly off the stage, and we all got out and got into the Cadillacs and drove away.